Okay, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Combo Couch going live. It's the countdown. Thank you for joining us. We will be with you shortly. Combo ready. Welcome back to the Combo Couch, everyone. Pasta Jardula here.
Hi, and I'm Fiorella.
Of course you are. And Pasta Jardula on the ones and twos. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, Pasta's screwing some stuff up, getting it straight, learning, but that's why we had a couple delays, guys. Sorry, the Rumble was giving me a little bit of headaches, but we are here, and we have a great show. So let's just jump right into it, fam, since we are limited for time. I don't know about you, fam, but that speech yesterday, your thoughts right off the bat before we get to it?
Well, a lot of people were focused on the imagery, right? I think it was really stupid that they used that imagery because I think it was either done on purpose or somebody's really dumb. And most of the time I think it was done on purpose. They want to evoke controversy, they want to be talked about, and also the red imagery kind of signifies to a lot of people a negative connotation. A lot of people are saying it was satanic, like they were comparing it to the Pink Floyd, The Wall, where the guy's out there. They were comparing it to Hitler. They were comparing it to the V for Vendetta guy when he was like speaking out. But I mean, it could also, red is also connected to communism and stuff. So that could also be an aspect of, of people on the right saying, oh, he looks like, a crazy commie too. So it's just really stupid unless you're trying to get a point across. Imagery wise, I wouldn't have done that. He looks really evil and like a dictator, which is hilarious because he's talking about fascism and denouncing MAGAs pretty much as fascists, and very like angry, and it's just very like weird, and it was just wrong. It just felt really wrong. But what was about his speech, right? The content of his speech was just very divisive and polarizing, and he's saying he wants to save the soul of the nation, but it's extremely divisive. So I don't understand how anybody could get a positive note from that speech. So it was just really strange. I'm still trying to figure out if it was on purpose or not, because it really does seem like you would know not to have that imagery. But yeah.
Well, I mean, more than just an imagery, fam. I mean, we have to get into the speech itself, right? This is like, this is some really divisive, you know what? I mean, I'm starting to get really nervous at this point right now. I mean, I know a lot of people want to say Joe's, off his rocker. He's a little old, blah, blah, blah. He's a guy screaming at the clouds, that kind of thing. But I mean, whoever wrote this for, and whoever's directing him, who's persuading him or moving him, or whoever's calling the shots, it seems just like an acceleration, full throttle to try and push a civil war. Literally, I don't remember ever it being this divisive, and we're going after voters, just strictly voters now. Now, if you don't agree, and Karine Jean-Pierre followed it up, if you don't agree with what the majority of the people are saying, which they don't know, they're just throwing it out there. That's propaganda. They're just, duping some people into manufacturing consent for what they're about to do. Like saying, we're the majority, this minority over here, we have to stop them. So this is just, fam, it's scary times.
Yeah. So let's watch it. And I just want to say, I don't think it's one person influencing Biden. I think it's an entire intelligence military apparatus that's in control of this country. It's not Biden. It's definitely not Congress. These people are pretty much just faces. The really control mechanisms are the national security, state, and military apparatus, I think, operating, willing to take us into nuclear war, targeted nuclear attacks, which are impossible.
Yeah.
All right, to get a point across. So let's just hear the speech.
I'm going to start. It's a long speech, fam. So I'm going to start it when you want to say pause, and I will stop it and then let you go into comment and piggyback off that. Okay.
Okay. How long is this?
It's a 24-minute speech, but he gets quickly to the business within the first 5 minutes of this speech. It's almost everything you need to hear. But I'd like to play the first 2 minutes, which is pretty much the setup. But if you feel compelled to say you want to say something, fam, you hit pause and I'll stop it right for you. Sound good?
Okay, so we're just gonna do the first 2 minutes.
Here we go.
Okay.
My fellow Americans, please, if you have a seat, take it. I speak to you tonight from sacred ground in America, Independence Hall in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. This is where America made its Declaration of Independence to the world more than 2 centuries ago, with an idea unique among nations, that in America, we're all created equal. This is where the United States Constitution was written and debated. This is where we set in motion the most extraordinary experiment of self-government the world has ever known. With 3 simple words: we the people, we the people. These 2 documents and the ideas they embody, equality and democracy, are the rock upon which this nation is built. They're how we became the greatest nation on earth. They're why, for more than 2 centuries, America has been a beacon to the world. But as I stand here tonight, equality and democracy are under assault. We do ourselves no favor to pretend otherwise. So tonight, I've come to this place where it all began to speak as plainly as I can to the nation about the threats we face, about the power we have in our own hands to meet these threats, and about the incredible future that lies in front of us if only we choose it.
Fam, that was the setup right there. So your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that was just the setup. I think we need to hear the parts where he really goes on. But I mean, so far it's just a lot of bullshit.
Yeah.
America has been a destruction to so much of the world. He's painting this country as just only good. Obviously, there are some good things, but a lot of people have been facing a lot of obstacles, and we're facing what we're facing now because of the actions of foreign policy wise. So he's starting off with a lie, but he's starting off with the whole "my fellow Americans," blah blah blah. Like, it's just a typical speech right there. So far.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's too. He's you know, the lead up to this too as well. It is the typical bullshit. That's why I'm here. The time it all started, like the nationalism of sorts, like, you know, this is our democracy we're defending. But let's just dive right into more of it over here because it gets juicier. I know you love that word, fam.
Let's never forget, we the people are the true heirs of the American experiment that began more than 2 centuries ago. We the people have burning inside of each of us the flame of liberty that was lit here at Independence Hall. A flame that lit our way through abolition, the Civil War, suffrage, the Great Depression, world wars, civil rights. That sacred flame still burns. Now in our time, as we build an America that is more prosperous, free and just. That is the work of my presidency, a mission I believe in with my whole soul. But first, we must be honest with each other and with ourselves. Too much of what's happening in our country today is not normal. Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic. Now, I want to be very clear up front. Not every Republican, not even the majority of Republicans, are MAGA Republicans. Not every Republican embraces their extreme ideology. I know, because I've been able to work with these mainstream Republicans. But there's no question that the Republican Party today is dominated, driven, and intimidated by Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans. And that is a threat to this country. These are hard things, but I'm an American president, not a president of red America, blue America, but of all America. And I believe it's my duty to level with you, to tell the truth, no matter how difficult, no matter how painful. And here, in my view, is what is true. MAGA Republicans do not respect the Constitution. They do not believe in the rule of law. They do not recognize the will of the people. They refuse to accept the results of a free election. And they're working right now, as I speak, in state after state, to give power to decide elections in America to partisans and cronies, empowering election deniers to undermine democracy itself. MAGA forces are determined to take this country backwards to an America where there is no right to choose, no right to privacy, no right to contraception, no right to marry who you love. They promote authoritarian leaders and they fan the flames of political violence that are a threat to our personal rights, to the pursuit of justice, to the rule of law, to the very soul of this country. They look at the mob that stormed the United States Capitol on January 6th, brutally attacking law enforcement, not as insurrectionists who placed a dagger at the throat of our democracy, but they look at them as patriots. And they see their MAGA failure to stop a peaceful transfer of power after the 2020 election.
Can't hear you.
Fam, I gotta stop it right there because my blood is starting to boil. Your your thoughts right there. I mean, this is a really, really divisive rhetoric right here. This is literally talking about voters now, about people. You know, I mean, he was saying they're going state to state and they're doing this. What does that mean? Anybody who's talking out against an election? I thought it was always okay to talk out against an election. Isn't that our God-given right as Americans? No?
No, it hasn't been actually for a long time now to talk to, since I mean, more so since 2016, but increasingly so since 2020 after that. And this whole speech is basically to piss off Republicans and incite them to fight back so they can have some sort of reason to say, oh, these people are violent domestic extremists. We need to continue to put more surveillance power. And he talks about liberty and he talks about privacy, which is hilarious because under his administration, there's been less liberty and less privacy. The surveillance state has expanded. They're calling everybody a domestic violent extremist on the left and the right. And this is it's very vapid polarization based on just the fact that these people were not okay with the election results and on January 6th, even though the FBI admitted to involving on January 6th. So, I mean, well, it's just.
Yeah. I mean, since he's been the president, it's been nothing but mass censorship and, you know, fascist style mandates. I mean, like, you know, what is he talking about? And I mean, how many people is really kind of like sitting there like, yeah, he's right. You know, I mean, I know there's a lot of TDS out there and there still exists. People will still bring up Donald Trump, you know what I mean, because they believe that, you know, that is the majority of people in this country. And that's just far from the truth. If you just see how many football stadiums that Donald Trump was able to fill and nobody would go see Biden or Kamala. Nobody's crazy. It seems like they're just using every single tool they have of controlling the media, of controlling the narrative, to try to honestly push for some type of mass disarmament or lockdown or jailing.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, who's really buying this stuff, fam? I mean, does he have an audience? Does he have a base that is really going to take this in?
He has a base, but that base is a lot smaller than they're making it out to be. It's just, the base is made look bigger by the media and by social media giants like Twitter and Meta, who censor dissenters, right? Dissenting opinions. And basically he's saying anybody that has a non-establishment viewpoint, including Republicans that are non-establishment Republicans, are a problem. So he's basically saying anybody that disagrees with whatever they have decided is the current narrative is a problem. So I mean, they're telling you that, and again, they're using Republicans, and they're specifically MAGA Republicans, as these the villains here. But that doesn't mean that they're going to ignore the left, or what they're going to call the extreme left, which is basically anybody that's anti-imperialist, or anybody that's anti this current narrative with Ukraine, that is anti-war with China, anybody that questions any sort of foreign policy against Latin America and against a lot of countries in West Asia. Anybody that really says a different opinion on it is going to be part of this group. They're just not using that, because this is what's going to allow them to gain support from some of the idiot leftists who are like, yeah, go get rid of those MAGA chuds. And it's so stupid. But those people are going to fall for it. But it's not that many people. I think the vast majority of Americans are like, what is this? I think most people are confused. I think more and more people are like, what are we doing in this country? Like, what's going on? I just think people don't know what to do about it.
Well, fam, they called us the dirtbag leftists, and I wore it proudly. Now they can call me the next thing, and I'm going to wear it proudly. I'm an election denier. Wear it proudly. You're damn right I am. That's the new little trick they're trying to pull, fam. Let's play a little bit more of this video, and then we have a little follow-up video that actually Marjorie Taylor Greene played.
As preparation for the 2022 and 2024 elections. They tried everything last time to nullify the votes of 81 million people. This time, they're determined to succeed in thwarting the will of the people. That's why respected conservatives like Federal Circuit Court Judge Michael Ludwig has called Trump and the extreme MAGA Republicans, quote, a clear and present danger to our democracy. But while the threat to American democracy is real, I want to say as clearly as we can, we are not powerless in the face of these threats. We are not bystanders in this ongoing attack on democracy. There are far more Americans from every background and belief who reject the extreme MAGA ideology than those that accept it. And folks, it's within our power, it's in our hands, yours and mine, to stop the assault on American democracy. I believe America is at an inflection point. One of those moments that determine the shape of everything that's to come after. And now, America must choose to move forward or to move backwards, to build a future or obsess about the past, to be a nation of hope and unity and optimism, or a nation of fear, division, and of darkness. MAGA Republicans have made their choice. They embrace anger. They thrive on chaos. They live not in the light of truth, but in the shadow of lies. But together we can choose a different path. We can choose a better path forward to the future. A future of possibility, a future to build and dream and hope. And we're on that path moving ahead. I know this nation. I know you, the American people. I know your courage. I know your hearts. And I know our history. This is a nation that honors our Constitution. We do not reject it. This is a nation that believes in the rule of law. We do not repudiate it. This is a nation that respects free and fair elections. We honor the will of the people. We do not deny it.
Right there, I know, ma'am.
Fair free elections.
Bam.
We don't have those. Good night. We don't have democracy. It's not even like we don't have a democracy in the United States. So he's saying we need to preserve a democracy, and the MAGAs are a threat to our democracy, but we don't have a democracy. Both the Republicans and the Democrats need to realize this. We don't have a democracy. You don't live in a democracy. You sure as hell don't live in a republic anymore. You live in a corporate state, that has a military industrial complex and an intelligence apparatus. That's it. There's no by the people, for the people. There's no voting that you can say for sure your vote counts. You can't say that. You know, like there's so much manipulation via so many agencies, as we've seen with COVID, and as we're now being proven right. By the way, I'm not going to talk about it now, but we are being proven right at every single turn. And of course, there's numerous billions of dollars going into a war that we have no say in and no desire to be in. And how do you sit there and talk about democracy? So it's just a lot of fluff. It's a lot of word salad, and it's just vilifying MAGA people and vilifying other people like China and Russia. That's it. Because in that way, you get Americans to manufacture consent for civil war at home or for more surveillance expansion, and manufacture consent to go after other people, to go to war, to go after other countries and other dictators. So that's, again, it's just another form of manufacturing consent for war. And now they've brought that sort of rhetoric to the United States to divide people up, because they know that people are getting increasingly aware, increasingly pissed off, and they need to point that anger away from them.
Fam, I was talking with my friend Ellen Swenson from the Election Integrity Project, the real one group, though she's in Nevada and she's in California. And as you know, she's more of she kind of classifies herself now as a libertarian, a conservative libertarian. You know what I'm saying? They were more conservative leaning with that group. And she says, man, you and Fiorella have such an amazing perspective when you go to see these elections in other countries. Like, nobody I know is doing that stuff. And I said, thank you. And she goes, yeah, but it also makes you the enemy, because you can also prove, and we saw it in that speech last night, Craig. He's once again barking at anybody talking about elections. It's COVID and elections, COVID and elections. If you don't put this thing in your arm, if you don't say safe and effective, you're an enemy of the state. You know, we were laughing because those are the things that we really like to talk about and that we have a lot of knowledge on. And I was like, Ellen, congratulations. We're domestic terrorists. Yay. I mean, but that's what they're doing. They just keep repeating the lie. And people just they repeat it. We have fair elections. DHS says it's the safest of all times. But fam, this is a really scary speech. I know we were talking this morning. Scott Horton just said, this is a normal every kind of when election year speech, when things are coming around. I said, no, it's not. This is very accelerated towards going out and pointing directly at voters. What does it say right here in the paper? I don't know, fam, if you knew this. I am a newspaper guy, just like Fidel Castro. And it says right here, President uses speech to raise election states. He wasn't raising election states there. He was demonizing one whole friggin' group, a large group of people in this country.
Yeah.
That is some scary shit. So listen, Marjorie Taylor Greene shared this. So this is a cut footage of Joe Biden. Have you seen this one here? Have you seen this one? No. Come on.
Yeah, of course. Of course I see.
The roar, fam, the roar. One more time. That won the internet for me yesterday. But fam, his speeches here is very consistent with what his administration has been doing, coordinating with big tech to censor people, make sure there's only one narrative about COVID and one narrative about elections, demonize, propaganda, tell the lie, and hope that it sticks. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, I think too many people are catching on. I don't know if it's an awakening or it was purposely put out there to divide the country for people to go at each other's throats. But here's the thing, fam. We know as well as everybody. And this is the thing, too, as well. When they're classifying people, they have lists. They know all these people, hardcore Trump people, right? Those are the people who still got that flag on their lawn after, you know what I'm saying? Probably got a Trump 2024. People who voted for him just online, they can see. Then they got people like us. They're going to call us MAGA sympathizers. Not MAGA supporters, but MAGA sympathizers. And that proves the point. The way we've been demonetized and shadow banned, it's not about the fact that we're supporting him. It's the fact that we're just talking openly, and we're willing to have these serious, nuanced conversations about dissecting and deconstructing the media, right? And sometimes when we do that, we point the finger at them. So now they're saying something not with us, that we're MAGA supporters. Go ahead.
This isn't even about MAGA. I don't think more than anybody. MAGA is the bait. This is about us. This is about people like us. Because you can talk about MAGA and vilify them, and people are gonna be like, yeah, that it's easy, it's red meat. And oh yeah, it's MAGA supporters, you know, they're racist, they don't like immigrants, they want, you know, they're so conservative, they don't like gay people, they don't like Black people. You can say all these things which aren't entirely true about MAGA. I mean, they have certain views that I disagree with. And there may be, you know, one or two people that are actual white supremacists that say they're MAGA, but it's the vast majority of people just have more of a conservative view and have right-wing ideas that I 100% don't agree with. But to label them as fascists is taking it a step further. And it's if you can get them, then anybody in any way saying they should be allowed to say what they want to say, they shouldn't be called fascists, is really your target, because you are looking at the lens of not, this is my MAGA team or this is my blue team. You're looking at the lens of, they're playing you guys and we need to look at them. So we are the target more than the MAGA people. They're just using them because they're the easy red meat for everybody to hate on. And that's all this is. But really the people they want to come after are the people that are opposing the war narrative, the people that are opposing the intelligence apparatus, the people that are actually questioning every single thing and trying to bring people together and bridge these gaps and tell people, hey, you're being played against your neighbor. And I think we are the primary targets, and that's why it's so theatrical, and why they can say, oh, these MAGA supporters, and then the right will come and say, oh, these communist Biden and Kamala, because they just play off of each other. But really, let's be real, the people that are an actual threat are the people that actually see who the real enemy is. And if if people like us can get some people from the right to understand that, and get some people on the libertarian side to see who, because they a lot of this, like you said, we align with them when it comes to anti-war and you know, and decriminalization of drugs and certain things like that. And if we can get some of the left to see that, then that is the country. That is the majority of the country. And that is the ultimate danger for an authoritarian, increasingly fascistic country. That is it. That's what they are trying to stop. They're not going to tell you that, but that is what they're trying to stop, I think.
Do you want to play any more of this video?
No, I think I mean, is there more that you think you want to show?
There's a little bit more. I think let's just listen to 2 more minutes and then we'll close it out. Last bit. Check it out. Guys, your president, Mr. Joe Biden. We love Joe Biden. Come on, everybody. Support Joe Biden. Fam. Joe Biden, man. By the way, for the record, this is Joe Biden #2, in my opinion.
And this is a nation.
Who the hell's there?
Rejects violence as a political tool.
I mean, that many people there.
Violence. We are still an America that believes in honesty and decency and respect for others. Patriotism, liberty, justice for all, hope, possibilities. We are still at our core a democracy. And yet, history tells us the blind loyalty to a single leader and a willingness to engage in political violence is fatal to democracy. For a long time, we told ourselves that American democracy is guaranteed, but it's not. We have to defend it, protect it, stand up for it, each and every one of us. That's why tonight, I'm asking our nation to come together, unite behind the single purpose of defending our democracy regardless of your ideology. They're all called by duty and conscience to confront extremists who put their own pursuit of power above all else. Democrats, independents, mainstream Republicans, we must be stronger, more determined, and more committed to saving American democracy than MAGA Republicans are to destroying American democracy. We, the people, will not let anyone or anything tear us apart. Today, there are dangers around us we cannot allow to prevail. We here, you've heard it, more and more talk about violence as an acceptable political tool in this country. It's not. It can never be an acceptable tool. So I want to say this plain and simple. There is no place for political violence in America, period. None, ever.
Okay. That's it. Fam, I can't do it. Yeah. I'm done with that crap. I think
most of it.
Yeah. I mean, he's got a whole bunch of crap to come with it too, as well. And yeah. I just want to put this right here. Look how the news just protects him. Biden punches back and punches hard at Trump and extremist MAGA Republicans.
Yeah.
I mean, so media is in the bag for this. I mean, if you can't see this shit right now, wow.
So he's talking about here. There's two things. One thing is he's basically telling people what the national security state has already said, any sort of violence, what they deem violence, which is essentially protesting and anything like that. Now at this point, words are going to be stopped, censored, or you're going to be criminalized for it. And again, this country was founded on literally people rebelling against a corrupt government. And they're telling you there's no place for violence in this country, even though this country was literally founded on violence. I mean, we could go back to the history of slavery, the extermination of Native Americans, yes, but also the American Revolution. That could be looked on as violence. It was to break a tyrannical control of a taxation without representation. So we're at a point here where a lot of people feel that their rights are being taken away and trampled over. So more and more people are like, well, we need to take to the streets because we're seeing what's happening all over the world. And more people are like, when are Americans going to wake up? So it's no surprise that they're having this speech basically saying, if you do that, that's not acceptable. You're going to be somebody that's criminalized for it. And the other thing is he talks about there's no violence in the United States. We literally exert violence all over the entire world. We're doing it right now by funding Nazis in Ukraine. And we have created a slave trade in Libya. Libya is in an awful position right now.
Yeah.
We have Afghanistan an awful position. We leave countries completely destroyed. And the moment they push back and say we want our sovereignty, we say that they're brutal dictators, that we need to protect democracy. So it's projection, yes, but it's just very, very the utmost form of just theater because it's not rooted in any sort of reality. It's all fiction. Everything he's saying is the opposite. Like we literally are a country funded on violence, and I don't believe that violence has the same equivalent when it comes to people demanding what they believe, what they've been wronged. And I think that's, they're giving us a warning saying, you can't do that. You're going to be labeled an extremist. And that's really who they're talking to. That's really the audience. It's like anybody that is going to stand up against the government, we're going to come after you. Remember, he just recently talked about we're going to need bigger weapons, right?
Well, he just said that you need an F-15 to freaking take on the state, trying to make that argument that, listen, come on, your assault weapons, what are you going to defend against your government? We got drones, pal. It's the Jim Jeffries argument.
Exactly.
So
it's that rhetoric that's like, they know that people are like, no, we see what's happening here. So I think in a way they are scared of the shift happening.
There are areas where I really defer to Steve when it comes to guns. That's one of the areas. And Steve said, Pasta, history will show us that a bunch of locals with a little weapons will beat a big invading army with a bunch of neat toys 9 times out of 10. And I said, that's what it's going to be like here in the United States. You know,
History does show that.
They're going to be dug in like a juicy ass tick in the woods and everything with their guns. And they'll be like, come get us. Come get us. And who will be the invading army? The virtuous ones, the ones who said we're mitigating damage. I'd like to ask those donkeys who said we were mitigating damage if they still feel that way. I bet you a bunch of them still would feel that way, fam.
Yeah. Yeah.
Super Ray time? Well, let's get to it after this section. We can do this. Yeah. Let's jump right into it. Fam, your favorite, Mark Zuckerberg, right? Okay. Now, what on friggin' Rogan talked about the Hunter Biden story, that they, he was approached by the FBI saying, watch out for stories that might be Russian collusion. They're kind of like something about a laptop or whatever. So Zuckerberg says, well, we didn't do, what Twitter did, but we just kind of like shadow banded of sorts, and, we did just to make sure it wasn't out there all the time. Well, Twitter, Facebook regularly, fam, coordinated with the Biden administration to censor users. Newly released internal emails from Facebook and Twitter showing extensive effort to coordinate with the Biden administration to censor users, according to a Thursday release of information by GOP attorneys General Eric Schmidt, not the other Eric Schmidt, the one who was McCain's dude. This one is the Attorney General of Missouri and Jeff Landry of Louisiana. And these two guys have been going after big tech for quite some time. Throughout the emails, fam, officials within the Department of Homeland Security, the DHS, and the Health and Human Services, the HHS, which decides who gets the money for all the COVID protocols, Xavier Barrera, just so you know, emailed Facebook and Twitter employees with instructions. Oh, fam, when the state is working with the corporations and big tech, that's fascism, with instructions on flagging instances of alleged misinformation and guided them with talking points to counter allegedly false narratives on the platforms. I wonder if Scary Poppins was doing any work back then. In one instance, a CDC official asked Facebook for monthly meetings to plan debunking strategies. Oh, now we got the big farmer in here. This is what you call fascism, boys and girls. While in another case, a White House official requested the removal of the Anthony Fauci parody account. Wow, fam. Do you got anything to say before we get into this?
Yeah, well, let's get into it. But I just want to say this is stuff we already knew that we have been saying for a long time, a lot of us, and now they're just finally admitting to it. Okay, this has been happening for a long time. I mean, we have been talking about this for ages. People like Whitney Webb have been talking about this as well, and how much deeper and further it goes. Again, what Pasta mentioned, this is the corporations merging with the government to decide a certain narrative. That is fascism. So when you sit there and talk about labeling a group of people fascist, well, you're the fascist. Well, we know really what's going on here. You're trying to distract from you being the problem to them being the problem. So the people start fighting each other. But really, I don't know if it's going to work. I know it seems like it's working, but I think there's a lot more people that are starting to question this narrative. And they're trying to sort of give a little bit of information so people don't freak out and say, oh, our government is completely lying to us. So that's why you're seeing this release of information. It doesn't mean it's going to stop. I don't think they're going to stop doing what they're doing. They're just telling you more so this is what we're doing, but we're doing it because it's for your safety.
Yeah.
Again, that same argument, because it's for the greater good of the country. Again, that same argument.
Well, let's look right here, fam. You can see some of the emails itself, which they got. And of course, there's a few redacted, but it says right here, and you can see the addresses. It was the CC from the CDC and the OADC, all these other groups. This is the subject is misinformation claims. Help for the debunking. Great. I'll let Blank gather some more claims. And before we set a date, I'll reach out to you on topics so we can get the right folks on the call. Yes, we'd love to do that. I do think getting the claims several days in advance will be critical to being sure we have what you need. They're literally telling you, we're going to get ahead of this stuff. We're going to debunk anybody who comes out with any dissenting argument. We're going to classify it right away as misinformation. And then we're going to give you the talking points on how to take it down. And we're going to have our people combing the internet looking for stuff. And if we have an account, we want you to take it down. Like we have this parody Anthony Fauci account. No. We can't have that. Ladies and gentlemen, this is fascism at its finest right here. They're literally censoring our voices, working with the state. And when they work with the state, which we already have been trying to tell you guys for quite some time, they're not working with the government. They are the government. They're all one, okay? And when they do that, they owe you your rights more than anything. A private company might have an argument in the public square, but when they're working directly at the behest of the government or the government's making the calls, you have your rights, ladies and gentlemen, and you need to fight back. It says, thank you so much. And I have been talking about, in addition to our weekly meetings, fam, do a monthly misinfo debunking meeting with maybe claim topics communicated a few days prior so that we can bring in matching experts and chat casually for 30 minutes or so. Is that something you'd be interested in? You got to give it up to them. They're really committed to their work in these meetings. Below is some details from the team. I know it's a lot. Does it give you what you need? In terms of the global database question at the end, I included some VAERS background below. The page adds context, selected adverse events reports after COVID-19 vaccination from the CDC, but I wasn't able to obtain a recommended database. Let me know if it works. Fam, they were just working together the whole time to make sure if anything comes out, they got you by the you-know-what. Excuse me, let me get this one up.
Yeah.
You know, fam? It's right there.
Yeah.
It's right there, ladies and gentlemen. They were talking to each other. They were working with each other. I really don't have much more to say than that. I mean, what do you guys want now? I mean, is that not a smoking gun there?
Yeah. I mean, they're just telling you flat out. And I think people are going to justify it, some of them. Oh, but they're just looking to make sure that people don't spread disinformation. If you don't spread disinformation, you're fine. And then that's what the brainwash are going to say. But I'm going to say, do you ever question what the hell, who decides what's misinformation? Who tells you what to think? Or do you not have a problem with that? I mean, have you seen like science fiction movies, shows? Have you seen how authoritarian and fascistic that is? And you have no problem with it? You know, it's like, it's hilarious. It's like people will watch shows and movies that really show how fascistic it can be once, you know, a surveillance state controls what people think and controls everything they hear. They'll watch shows like Black Mirror, but then they'll turn around and once it's happening right in front of them, they're like, oh, but it's disinformation. I you know, and I think more and more people are seeing through it, but I think this is just the way they're releasing info is because they want to make people feel like, oh, see, we're releasing info, we're being transparent. No, they're not being transparent without a purpose. They're trying to tell you this so you can feel that they're being honest, and they're just going to tell you, and give their reasons and justifications, but it's not just because of that. So yeah, that's that on that.
Fam, I just want to read this one last part real quick. Let me get it over here real quick because this is just we have already received a number of documents that clearly prove that the federal government has an incestuous relationship with social media companies and clearly coordinate to censor freedom of speech. But we're not done, said Schmidt in a joint statement. The Department of Justice is cowering behind executive privilege and has refused to turn over communications between the highest-ranking Biden administration officials and social media companies. That's why yesterday we asked the court to compel the Department of Justice to produce those records. We're just getting started. Stay tuned, fam. So they're digging. They're asking for more. They got a little piece of cheese. Now we'll see what's next. This is interesting stuff, and I'm glad. We've been saying this for quite some time, but I mean, these are receipts, fam. I mean, these are receipts.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that it's happening too from a lot from the right because they don't like this administration. We'll see what happens if there is. I don't think it's going to change. I think if we have a Republican president, the national security state is going to continue to expand. And then people will finally maybe see that it's the same shit, just the other side of the coin. And I think that this is being unraveled too, in order to give people something like, oh, here's, we're going to be transparent. There's still some semblance of justice, as they're literally continuously going to take our rights away. So I'm not under any impression that either party members, either people in the Democratic or the Republican side, are going to bring us any sort of justice on this. It's going to have to come from the people, not anybody in power. Everything always happens bottom up. It's not going to come from somebody at the top being like, okay, we're just going to be honest and give you all this power. It's just not going to happen like that, because there's too much power at risk and too much for them to lose at this point.
Sam, so I got a video then. This really ties in, because what you're saying is really kind of hitting home. This is Carl Sagan. I think he's passed away, but I want you to watch this real quick, fam, because it's kind of what you're talking about. How they rule over us. Check this out, guys. This is some great shit.
There's two kinds of dangers. One is what I just talked about, that we've arranged a society based on science and technology, in which nobody understands anything about science and technology. And this combustible mixture of ignorance and power, sooner or later, is going to blow up in our faces. I mean, who is running the science and technology in a democracy if the people don't know anything about it? And the second reason that I'm worried about this is that science is more than a body of knowledge. It's a way of thinking, a way of skeptically interrogating the universe with a fine understanding of human fallibility. If we are not able to ask skeptical questions, to interrogate those who tell us that something is true, to be skeptical of those in authority, then we're up for grabs for the next charlatan, political or religious, who comes ambling along. It's a thing that Jefferson laid great stress on. It wasn't enough, he said, to enshrine some rights in a Constitution or a Bill of Rights. The people had to be educated, and they had to practice their skepticism and their education. Otherwise, we don't run the government. The government runs us.
Bam.
Yeah.
I mean, just ties it all together. It's not coming. This change is not coming from the top down. Like you said, it's coming from the bottom. But to do it, we have to educate ourselves. We have to be advocates, not just activists. We have to learn everything about how we're getting screwed. That's why I'm so, when it comes to elections, and listen, I don't argue the fact, you and Steve, there's no way to vote our way out of this. I get that and stuff. But that's why I think that if we can learn everything about the system, then we have a chance to have actual change, just like in everything else. We have to understand how we're being screwed first, so that we can stop them from screwing us. And we really,
we understand how we're being screwed. We understand how we're being screwed. It's just a matter of you think you can prove it. And if you prove it, then it'll be enough to change things. I don't think even if we prove it, they're going to just give this power without any sort of struggle. That's where I'm at. I think that could have happened maybe a few decades ago, but I think where we're at now, they're not going to willingly give you this power. I mean, we're talking about some of the most psychopathic, powerful people in the world who want to get rid of millions and billions of people, and who want to push this globalist agenda and enact certain policies that control everybody. And those people aren't going to allow for any sort of reform to actually happen. It's just, if it happens under the same system, you're still putting band-aids on a system that's failing. And I'm not a reformist at all. So if we would get a new government and we would have a new form of elections, I would be on board. But I don't think we can reform the election system, because it's tied to the entire system as a whole. So that's where I'm at. It's not that I don't think, you shouldn't try to expose it. I just don't think the exposure is going to make them do good, because these are not good people. They're just not.
Gotcha, fam. I'm gonna read some super rays now.
Wait, no, I have this last section.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna. You want me to read these, then go to that? You want to just go right into the other section first?
Let's just go right into it because we don't have a lot of time.
Okay, let me grab the link real quick. I'm so sorry.
So yeah, so this is just really quick. I just wanted to touch on what happened because a lot of people don't know what's going on in Argentina. So the vice president of Argentina, her name is Cristina Kirchner. She has been pretty much pegged with a series of corruption charges. And people have been gathering in mass out in the streets, protesting, saying that she is a victim of lawfare, that these charges there's no evidence against her. And they've been saying this for the majority of people are out there saying this in Argentina. And the charges would prevent her from ever running in an election again. And she faces up to 12 years in prison. I equate it to what they're doing to Imran Khan, where they're trying to prevent him from running for president. He's very popular. She's very popular. Her husband is Nestor Kirchner. The Kirchnerismo comes from there, where it's kind of a progressive, bringing people up type of mentality, similar to the Peronistas from Eva and her husband, Perron. If you've ever seen the movie with Madonna, Evita, then you would know about that. We kind of talked about it with Terry a little bit. So what's happened literally yesterday was and if you can just show this video possibly, because this video is the one that shows the assassination attempt. And you'll see it happens fairly quickly. Some guy comes and points a gun to her face, and he actually pulls the trigger, but for some reason it doesn't go off. And that's the part where people are being like, whoa, that's weird. Is this a setup? What's going on here? So a lot of people are like, this is really strange that this guy literally just pulls the trigger. So you can, there it is. Yeah, so you can hear it almost, like you can hear the trick. You can hear it didn't go off.
Yeah, like it didn't work. It got.
Yeah. Imagine having that happen to you, where you don't even expect it, and someone pulls a trigger and it just like doesn't go off. Like you should be dead. Like it's just weird, I would say. But also, wow, she's alive. And so I wanted to also point out that the assassin, and this is from Dennis, the assassin has been identified as Fernando Andres Sabag. He's a 35-year-old Brazilian, which makes this even the more interesting as we are heading to Brazil. And what is a Brazilian doing in Argentina trying to kill Cristina Kirchner? I'm asking these questions, right? And fam, these are some of the things you have to know. She refused as VP, as vice president, which is her current position, to allow the country to default on an IMF loan and pay the World Bank. Now, for the conspiracy theorists out there, a lot of the people who oppose the IMF, and it's not really conspiracy, I mean, this is like reality, IMF, who oppose the World Bank, become threats to the establishment. She was an ardent supporter of not allowing Argentina to go that route. She wants to completely push away neoliberalism, push away reliance on the West. This is why so many people feel like she is being targeted, right? Mm-hmm. And her attacker ended up having a Nazi tattoo of the Black Sun logo. This tattoo we have seen countless times in the Azov battalion and the fascist paramilitary, Staffan Bandera fascists in Ukraine. We have been seeing this very frequently. So you guys can see that's his tattoo on the left, and on the right is what it is. It's the Black Sun logo. So I just wanted to point that out, and I thought that was very interesting. This whole thing, the fact that she was shot, like the trigger was pulled, didn't shoot her. This guy's a Brazilian Nazi with a Black Sun logo. She was just surrounded by people who are really fond of her, and somehow this guy gets in. We've seen it happen in multiple shootings before, where it's a huge crowd and somebody gets in, but I'm wondering, what exactly, why an assassination attempt at her? Is this related to her stance, of course, on the with the IMF and the World Bank, which is that's a big deal, Posse, you know that. Anybody that challenges is targeted. And then also, who is this guy and who sent him? If like, did he go on his own? Like, this is just really weird to me. So I'm having like, yeah.
I'm thinking maybe it could be a setup. And I'm going to go to your tweets right next, right? Because I think you're the one. We're going to go to yours because you have some tweets. So.
No, I already went over it. So.
You did?
All right. Yeah. I just wanted to show the Nazi logo. So, yeah. Yeah. I mean, because that's interesting to me. And I don't know if it was a setup, then that wouldn't. Why would her campaign and her people set that up? That's weird. I don't think they'd want to draw any more attention. I don't see any evidence of a setup. I just do see that it's weird. And that, there's always that possibility that somebody maybe set that up to try to, I don't know. I honestly, I'm trying to see the objectives here. It's very strange, this whole thing. Yeah. And just the last part, guys, I wanted to share with you. The reason I was late was because I went with some friends, fellow journalists, to this concert put out by, it's hard to describe. I don't even know how to describe it. Bands of the certain Russian military, like it was like the Russian Federation putting on bands from different schools and different regions and stuff, different countries. And I'm going to post a video as soon as I can because they had Venezuelans there and the Venezuelans were lit and it was great. And that just shows you the connection between Russia and Venezuela. And I'm telling y'all, that shit's big. So here is a couple pictures. It's so beautiful. You guys can see. I'll just let Pasta just go through them and just show them. That's real. I mean, I didn't do any editing or special effects or anything like that. And it's basically just people playing music with the bands, kind of like your high school band but better, and like just very military like, and they were naming some people that were in the military. And obviously I don't speak Russian, so I didn't understand everything at all, but like it was just really nice hearing it and watching a lot of these things, and just colorful and beautiful. They had Armenia, they had Venezuela, different regions of Russia, Egypt. It was so interesting. And that's right in Red Square, which, it's my favorite square, Red Square, obviously.
Of course it is.
And Lenin's mausoleum is around the corner over there. And it really doesn't take me very long to get there from my house. So it's kind of like, it's beautiful. And wow. And there were dancers, and it was outside. Now, this is how crazy the Russians are. It was outside, and literally within the span of like 4 days, it went from like 80 to now 50, but it started lowering, the temperature started getting, because you're high up. I was in like a good section so you could see everything. And I was fine. I was chill. And then the longer I was there, because it was like over 2 hours. The longer I was there, it was like, my hands started getting cold and stuff. And I'm like, shit, this is like very mild weather right now. This is like the 50s, high 40s eventually. I don't know how I'm going to do this. Although I'm not going to be outside for that long normally, voluntarily. This was an exception because I literally, I was like, okay, I'm getting cold now. And granted, I didn't have a really good jacket. I only had this and a little light jacket. So other people went with better jackets. I clearly didn't get the memo, and I didn't realize. I was like, oh, I'm fine. This is like not bad. But if you're there long enough and the wind starts blowing, yeah. So I was like, by the time I left, I was like, I went on the metro. My hand was like numb and my feet were numb, and I'm wearing boots and thick socks. So I'm like, shit, I need to get like, and my jeans were like nothing. Like my jeans were like, yeah. And this is fall. This is like chill weather. This is not anything, to cry home about. So I'm not excited for the winter, guys. I'm really not. So fam, Super Raisin, we need to show our Give Send Go too, right?
Yeah, well, one thing that they haven't let us get publish the new campaign yet. We have everything set up, but it hasn't been gone through. They said within 24 hours it should go through.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just gonna send a link to the other Give Send Go, because that other givesendgo.com still does work. You can still go to the givesendgo.com at the givesendgo.com/support the combo couch. The next one's going to be givesendgo.com the combo couch Brazil. So that's going on. But I do have something here to play for you, fam, because I think this was just lit. We didn't get a chance to play it this morning. People start talking about, Alex Jones and how he was so right on this and so right on that. And yeah, he's, was kind of right on a lot of things. But ever since I started listening to a little bit of him recently, he's got a lot of things he's full of shit. One guy I love is David Icke. And if you don't know who David Icke is, you're going to know. Check this out, guys.
Why has the Dutch government, a guy called Rutte, the prime minister, completely owned by the World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab, why has he just announced that the Netherlands, the second biggest exporter of food in the world, is targeting farmers to destroy them and get them off the land, which is where all these farming protests in the Netherlands have come from? At a time of food shortages and supply chain problems, you are targeting the second biggest exporter of food in the bloody world to destroy its farming base? Why are you doing that? If people depend on you for what's left of the food, you control them. Where food is abundant and cheap, you do not control them. Where energy is cheap and abundant, you do not control them. Scarcity equals dependency equals control. And that's why they're targeting the food chain, they're targeting the energy supply, they're targeting everything.
Fam.
Yeah.
David Icke for you.
They want people dependent on the tyrannical systems in power. And that doesn't mean that I'm against all government, because you guys know that's the difference between me and an anarchist, because I'm not against all government. But I think that's a very North American perspective. In the United States, the libertarianism that exists in the United States, I get it. I totally get it, because our government sucks. Our government is trash. And so I get that perspective. The government has worked in other places, though. So that's maybe the government should.
I'm gonna go see some libertarians tonight, and we're gonna laugh at that because the government doesn't work. I mean, it's the whole thing is like they have addition by subtraction. The libertarians, the only third party really that can come to fruition, anyways. Let's be honest with this, but their whole thing is they're very compassionate about what's going on. They believe the biggest problem is the government. Remove the problem of the government and then figure out how to handle things moving forward. I can't argue with that. I don't know if that's the solution, but I can't argue.
I mean, I can, but
yeah. Well, the government is the worst thing. So any thought process
in the United States, yes,
a lot of governments are. Help the combo couch.
In the United States.
Help the combo couch get to Colombia to observe their election.
In the West.
Fam, I'm trying to make an announcement here, guys. This is the old one. It's
okay. This is the old one. Yeah.
Support the combo couch. It is still working. You can go to that one. We'll still be able to get your donations. By Monday, we'll have a new one up and we'll get it going. So still go there, but we're gonna be doing it in Brazil. And this one we gotta take care of everything, guys. Food, hotels. We're going as journalists with press passes. We haven't gotten any connections yet with the Brazilian government, so we got to get there and get on the ground. The beautiful thing is with your press passes, they allow you access to mostly everything, so we won't miss anything. It's just going to be much more expensive, so we need your help, ladies and gentlemen. Do us a favor. Go to givesendgo.com/support the combo couch. We got a Patreon, a PayPal. It's all listed down below in the descriptions, so please do so. Come help us out, and that is that, fam. Show some love. There it is. Right down below.
Look at him. Look at Pasta go.
I am gonna Boomer
Pasta
strikes again.
On the pasta 2 on the 1s and 2s. There's like, you know how there's like 3 Joe Bidens? There's like 2 pastas so far. There might be more than 2 soon, but we don't know. There's only 1 fee. You're not going to get more than 1. It's just me.
That's not true. There's more than 1 fees. You got a baggage fee, you got a seat fee, you got a candy fee. Everything is a fee. FEE. Arem, they give
Well, my sister kind of is starting to look like me, and I told her she needs to stop because that's not allowed.
Let's get this one on now. Now this is what you get there. Want more fee? All right, check her out on the news desk on RT. Guys, I got some super rays here. Arem, thank you so much for the super ray contribution. Arem, just wow. Love you.
Always appreciated.
Always appreciated. Thank you so much, Arem. We couldn't do this without you. You're amazing. Thank you. Seriously, from the bottom of my heart. We're going to go do some great work. As you guys know, I don't know if you know this. Ooh, let me go. I'll pull that up too as well. I am going to be speaking at a event that is moderated by Lara Logan, fam. How do you feel about that?
I think it's great. I think it's great you're talking to the other side. I mean, I'll give you the patience to deal with the Hugo Chavez comments and the China bamboo comments and all of that and the commie comments. But good job, fam.
Thank you.
That.
Listen, we are united under one goal, and that is fair elections. We're united, so I don't care. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people who are saying to some people already speaking, oh my God, I can't believe you're talking to a bunch of MAGA idiots about election integrity. Like, you guys are just too much.
They're stupid.
I can't make this any bigger, but I'm down below there on the left, guys. That's me down below there on the left. Laura Logan is hosting this event. If you squint your eyes, that's me down below over there.
Is that the picture we took of you in Nicaragua, or is that in Peru?
No, that's a picture Kim Iverson took. Thank you.
Oh, Kim Iverson took it?
Yeah.
Damn, Kim.
That's my
props for the photography.
That's my tweets. My tweets.
She should just quit and just be a photographer. She made you look good.
Tim Canova says he's even speaking at this event. There it is down below. Mark Fincham's going to be speaking at this event. I know you guys don't like him. Oh. Patrick Byrne will be speaking at this event. But now check how we set this up, fam. Tim Canova speaks at this event, right? He was a Bernie supporter. We met in the Bernie Sanders campaign. We shared a picture, my first picture I took with him. It was the day that they opened up Bernie Sanders campaign office in Miami. We were down there. That's when we met. We were out there, leftist. Right next to me to the right is Benny Smith. You know my man Benny. He's been on the show many times. He was Bev Harris's computer programmer. The guy writes code, fam. And when you can write code, you understand how the flipping mechanism works. And Benny Smith will be there. Now, next to Benny Smith, fam, this is the key one. This is the first time I've seen this guy's picture. His name is Phil Evans. Phil Evans is known for pattern analysis. He put it on the map. And next to Phil Evans, that's Clint Curtis. So we have a bunch of lefties at this event that are going to be able to tell, you know how they got COVID truths? Well, they got election truths. And with Clint Curtis, I can say, hey, remember when Sidney Powell said that Hugo Chavez was the one that asked for the flipping program to fix an election? And here's the guy that was around a year and a half, almost 2 years before that and was questioned. Remember the whole thing with the patterns that they showed that Patrick Byrne, who's throwing this whole thing, when it showed these big spikes? Well, here's Phil Evans, who put that math on the map. Is it normal? Yes, he can explain pattern analysis. And then you got Benny, who wrote the code. Oh, fam, we got hammer and scorecard. Well, that's cute. We call that fraction magic. Here's the guy who gave the name fraction magic. And then right over here, this chubby guy right here that's losing some weight, looking good. Gonna need another picture right there. I think I was wearing the same shirt. That guy goes over and observes elections overseas, and he can dispel the myth that we can't do this in 1 day, quick, effective, with the public involved, transparent, trackable, with results that night. He's going to dispel that myth because he's gone all over South America and Central America and seen it.
Just do me a favor and also dispel the myth that the elections in Nicaragua were completely corrupt, that some of these people were pushing, not necessarily these people, but the people at the whatever caucus you were in.
Oh, God, yeah.
Election, the other one. Yeah, so maybe just a little, for the commie, that would be great.
Fam.
For the Nicaraguan peeps.
All right, I'm going to share this with you guys right now. My opening line is, I am here to hope that we can get the U.S. elections up to Nicaraguan standards.
Oh, shit. you're going to piss some
I'm going to
people
say that
off
right away.
right off the
Ladies
bat.
and gentlemen, the hope to get these U.S.
Oh
elections
shit,
up to Nicaragua's standards.
guys,
Yes,
he's really like, fam. If you do that, I
Am
might
I lying?
shed
Am
a
I
tear.
lying now?
I might shed a tear.
Okay, but am I
You might
lying?
make me cry. No, you're not lying. But that's wow. My heart has been touched. You say I have a cold heart, but
You do.
you just touched it. I don't have a cold heart.
Put my logo up there. Fam, I'm reading Super Rays. Aram, thank you so much. Chris Leon, legitimate question, and I am no way a Joe Biden fan. As a matter of fact, I have a Joe Biden as a dementia magnet on my car. But how come his speech is divisive now? And what about Trump and all his rallies? Were those not divisive? All of this calling gay and trans people groomer shit is where all the anarchists and libertarians lose me. I support the LGBTQ issues, and I don't agree on the attacks. Fam, do you want to go on that first let's start with the whole, what about Trump? That when he goes,
yeah, so I thought Trump was
Fam, the radical left.
I think Trump was divisive as well. I do, but I don't think it was at the level of him saying that urging people to go to save our democracy by going after these fascist Democrats. I believe Trump is part of the problem. That's what I'm saying. This isn't even about MAGA. It's about getting the MAGA and the liberals and the left against each other in order to avoid the real enemy. And so that's why I think even though Trump is divisive, it was also not in the same way. It was a completely different sort of a division tactic. He more so pointed at the immigrants and pointed at how like the commies and that sort of thing. This is like saying we're going to go and put a group of people into this category and using the national security state apparatus to target them, but really it's to target us via them. Now, on the second part, I do want to say.
Wait, I want to answer the first part. Let me answer the first part.
Oh, you want to answer the first part?
Yeah, because I want to answer the first part because I think that, and once again, I don't want to split hairs over here. The radical left was a sense of like, there's a group of people on the left that are radical that are no good, and I've never heard him say some stuff, and I've heard other people say, all communists aren't left, but all the left in America are communists. Like I've heard other politicians say that, not Trump. So, he was saying that there's a radical left, but it's different here with Joe Biden because he's saying that all the Trumpers are radical. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that really is kind of like splitting hairs, saying there's a small group of, and once again, he was divisive as can be. And he wasn't, he wasn't a civil liberties guy through and through. A first year into his term, anybody who burns the American flag should go to prison for a year. That's some bullshit, creepy ass. Opening up the door for some stupid shit, and he said that stuff. So no, I'm not sitting here. Once again, I don't support Donald Trump. But if you're asking me to look at the two differences between these two clowns, this guy is way out of control. Way out of control. And here's the thing. They're doing it in the disguise of elections, that these guys are election deniers, that they don't want a fair and free transition of power. Well, what the fuck with all these guys complaining about elections for all the years prior? I mean, they sit there and said that Russia stole the 2016 election, and there's no proof whatsoever, as opposed to what happened in 2020, where people are bringing up the system and going, how could this happen? How could this happen? These are mathematical impossibilities. There's no way this could happen. Explain to us how this could happen. It's totally two different things.
I don't think Biden's out of control. I think this is the same system that is it's doing this under Biden because they still have the whole, you look at Trump, you don't want Trump and blah, blah, blah. And I think the people that are put in there are more establishment from the Obama administration. Although Trump had like the intelligence apparatus, he had evil Geppetto in there. He had his own share. But I think Trump just presented the truth to clearly, said things flat out, whereas Biden is better at hiding it with these speeches and stuff. But I still think the foreign policy is essentially the same, if not worse, because again, they can get away more with a Democrat in office because there's less of the media opposition to it. So the media tends to cover everything up. I don't really see that there's that much of a difference. I think like we see the difference more in terms of the surveillance state, because they are using this sort of globalist mentality to expand the surveillance state, and they're able to use MAGA to do it. I don't want to say that one is technically worse than the other, because it's still the same apparatus at hand. They're just pitting these two sides against the other and making one side feel what is worse. I think they're the same. I don't know. I did want to answer the second one. I do think like this tendency to call everybody, and we discussed this with Kim, if you want to watch that, to call everybody that is gay or trans a groomer is ridiculous. I think that's taking it too far. I also think that there are people that in that community and I think it's more the intelligence apparatus, and I think it's more the Democratic Party that have exploited that community for a political gain, and it's getting out of control where they're attacking a lot of people who aren't their enemy. So they'll call everybody a TERF, or they'll say, oh, this person is canceled because they said this or that. And I think that whole narrative is, again, another wedge issue to divide us, because people have very strong opinions on it. And I don't think that just because somebody is transsexual that they're automatically a groomer. I think that's a stupid thing to say. And I think that, again, that's like this culture war being used against these two sides, because one side they're both extremists on the issue, essentially. I think they're both extremists on the issue, because when you actually meet people from that community, a lot of people don't agree with the way it's being conducted. And so that's where I'm at on that issue. I just think like there's a lot of just it's another wedge issue where people get emotional and nothing ever gets discussed. So yeah.
My personal opinions on that, guys, ladies and gentlemen, Chris, who sent a super great contribution, thank you so much. It's something very hard to talk about, because I don't want to seem like I'm lacking compassion, and I kind of am not in the ballpark of Fiorella and Kim when it comes to it, but I'm open to learning and hearing more. I do think, though, no matter what, and I kind of look at the situation when it comes to trans issues is the same way I look at it when it comes to abortions. I think we're not having the right conversations, right? Like when it comes to abortions, I always say, why aren't we talking about unwanted pregnancies? One side says no abortions, the other side says abortions until it comes out of the womb. I think we have to meet some compromise when it comes to a trimester situation. I mean, nobody who I wouldn't imagine anybody who has an abortion, any woman who has an abortion would think it's going to be a cakewalk, or it's probably one of the hardest things they might have to go through. So I hate it when a lot of people do say that these are baby killers and all that thing. They like murdering babies. I think there's a better way to discuss this. But same thing comes with the trans issues too, as well, is that we have to provide a society, I think, where children aren't so goddamn confused. And I think there's a lot of fuel added to that fire. I do think that in certain situations where maybe, this needs to happen, what you and Kim have talked about, okay, fine. But I think there's been like a whole kind of like fad situation where it's been kind of like, oh, it's cool to recognize this and this person's binary and use our pronouns and, so easily and quick to make a change, when in certain situations that person might regret it down the road. You know what I'm saying? It's to me, it's the perfect storm of especially where we're at in society right now. Everything is so goddamn confusing for our children. We're not teaching them to think for themselves. I don't know, fam. I have to get educated on this more, and I'm willing to keep my eyes and ears open about it. You know what I'm saying?
But if you want your children to think for themselves, they might disagree with you on that issue. And I think that the next generation, the Gen Z and after, are a lot more fluid on that issue than the previous generations are. And they're going to continue to be more fluid because that's just where society is going now. Do I think that there is a fad? Yeah, I believe like there's definitely media pushing it. Like there's stuff like, there's a reason why the CIA did a whole video about hiring LGBTQ and trans people, guys, because they know they can exploit those populations for political gain and to turn the left against itself in a way. And also because the left is even divided on that issue. It's not, as you saw, a lot of people on the left are not okay with, the whole top surgery situation. But I think that issue, again, is used as a wedge issue to to kill any sort of discourse about anything. And for me, it's always been about the government has no say in who you sleep with. The government has no say in who you love. The government has no say into what surgery you want to get. Obviously, as an adult, I think there are exceptions, but required by certain biologies. We discussed that on Kim's show. There are certain exceptions. People might regret it. People regret a lot of things in life. So I don't even think that's a good enough reason. People regret so many things in life later on that they wish they didn't do. That's part of life. So I just, you know, and I do think there is an exploitation of children, but that's on the sexual trafficking apparatus, where we should focus on the powerful people like that protected, that Jeffrey Epstein protected, people that haven't gone to jail because of that. I think that is true. But that doesn't mean because somebody is gay that or trans that they're groomers. Do I think that, you know, kids should be taken to drag shows? No, I don't. I think that's pushing it. I think that's a little far.
Like
I think that's yeah, it's an adult setting. It's not even about the drag show itself. It's about the fact that they're too young to understand these sexual things. Why are you trying to push this on them? And that to me is, I think, too far on that. And I think, again, that rarely happens, but it's being used and propped up to divide these two sides. I've never seen, I just growing up, just like that ever happen. And I haven't seen it in my younger siblings either. So I think that's also being hyped up to be a bigger issue than it is. I think the issue that is big is sexual trafficking and pedophilia and all of that with children. But I don't think that's just the gay people. No, it's a lot of straight men, powerful men that are doing this. So let's be real here on that issue.
Somebody called me the other day. They were like, Pasta, I don't know if I really agree with Fia over this in the situation. I think this kind of thought process that sometimes the kid's smarter than the parents thing. It's like, listen, I said, at the end of the day, Fee was very clear what she said. She doesn't believe that the government should get involved. And if you're the parent, you make that decision. You know what I'm saying? You have to make that decision. And I get it. Like, you know, I think that what Kim and Fee are trying to say, that we have to be open and honest about this. And in some situations, some rare situations, some stuff might happen. But if you're judging a situation with your child and you're putting your foot down, you're saying because you think that your child is a little bit more about this whole fad and it's really not how they feel, and they'll change their feelings and their mentally state. You have to make those decisions as a parent on what you think is best. You know what I'm saying? But I think that we should be a little bit more open and understanding to what's actually going on. But at the same time, like you said, fam, I think a lot of people, you said a lot of this generation is a little bit more understanding too. I think the younger generation nowadays is also more propagandized as well. So it's the tale of two cities, you know, in this situation. It's got to come down to the individual parent making a decision with their individual child together. You know what I'm saying? The parents.
They're more propagandized, but they're also more aware at the same time. They know more things than we did when we were younger. And that's just a fact. I mean, they are aware of more things. They're so like just
but their communication skills are so freaking way off. They're everything's at the drop of the hands. Yeah, because the internet. So they might know things, but they don't know how to express them. They've gotten away from community, and that's the problem right now. The sense of individualism is also, you know, is the reason why we have so many awkward freaking young adults, is because they had a computer in their hand the whole time and they didn't separate that for their time in the community. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it's
like, and that's the problem with society as a whole, and that's something that has to be fixed, I think, in other ways. But there are things that are good about this generation. I'm not going to turn into the boomer that shit talks about the younger generations, because
well, I'm not talking about them as they're doing something wrong. I'm talking about as we're doing something wrong and letting them down from everything they
we are doing. I mean,
consume. And I'm not talking about like us in particular. I'm talking about the older generation. At the end of the day, we're left with this shit. And I can say, mom and her friends, what the hell did you leave us here, guys? What the hell did you give us, man? Like, you know, you let this shit slide too long, and now it's like sense of community's gone. You know, I mean, when people argue about capitalism, sometimes it's not good to have so many goddamn choices. It's just not, you know. Oh my God, what do I sound like over there? Jackie Pagel, straight outright propaganda. This is really hard to watch, really hard to listen to. Jackie, you're telling me.
Thank you,
Matt Carter,
Jackie.
thank you for the super great contribution. It is always appreciated on the couch. Sending extra because Pasta quoted my cousin Vinny tweet last stream. One of my favorite movies. Have a great weekend, guys. Much love. What's his favorite? My cousin Vinny one.
I'm just gonna say a line. I'm gonna memorize and say a line then. So you like it next time I say it, but I gotta say it in the right voice because Pasta said I was too nasally last time.
Yeah, you need work on your Yenta Italian or whatever New York voice. It's not good. You need work. I think the line is that my favorite line of my cousin Vinny was when he has his opening statement and he wakes up and he goes, "Everything this guy just said is bullshit. Thank you." He sits down. I'm gonna get that clip like when somebody says everything this guy says is just bullshit. Aram with another one, get a reputation for waking up early and you can sleep in for the rest of your life. Well, I started it late in my life, Aram, so who knows? And you know what? I'll be lucky if I get the opportunity to get up early to the day I die. That's what I'm looking for. Rob McMurtry, thank you for the super great contribution to this. Always appreciated on the couch, fam. Any interesting plans for the weekend?
No, maybe. I don't know. Maybe. Just hanging out with some friends. No, they were dancing. I wish I would have seen the Rasputin dance, but next time. Yeah, Russians dancing is a lot of joy to watch. Okay. So it's been a longer show than I anticipated, fam. It's like 2 a.m. for me. So
fam, I don't care. Like, we got.
I know you don't care. But
we gotta take care of the people. You heard that, fam?
We do.
We got to take care of our people.
I'm gonna post some pictures, guys, of the stuff I saw in the videos. You'll enjoy it. It's really, really nice.
When do you get back on the news desk?
I'm not gonna be on the news desk this month. I'm gonna do corresponding, so you'll see me doing packages and a bunch of other things. Don't worry, there'll be plenty of videos. So.
Plenty of stuff from coming from Fee. You know where we rock it. She's on RT. You can go to Rumble, you can go to Odyssey. We are on Rumble now. The combo couch is there. Stay with AM, wake up in the mornings. Fam, Jeremy Lafredo wants to come on next week. Who do we have next week? We already have Alex. On what day?
Wednesday. Alex Rubenstein will be on to talk about the Nazis at Disney. Very nice.
Disney Nazis, guys. Well, we know what's going on our weekend. Pasta Jardula here.
Fiorella.
And me. On the ones and twos, fam.
Pasta 2. The other pasta. Combo out.
We love you guys.
Dark pasta.